Welcome to maanknitwear. My name is Andrea and I am a knitter and I make podcasts here on YouTube. And this is one of those videos where I look into all the free patterns that I can make. And this time it's going to be all the lovely sweaters for the cozy season. So I found all of these really nice sweaters that I am itching to cast on. I've got to say it's becoming kind of a hobby just to find free patterns. So if you're interested, I'll put in somewhere links to my playlist on free pattern videos. I have one for fall last year. I have one for gift knitting, spring, summer. Take a look there if you're interested in finding free patterns. So let's just get started. I have 5 categories today. 1, structured sweaters. 2nd, I have basic sweaters. 3rd, colorwork sweaters or colorwork yoke sweaters. 4th, I have cardigans. And then 5th, I have a sweater vest and a t-shirt. That is one category together. So let's go to number 1. Ta-da! I changed. So I'm wearing my structured sweater, which is my sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So in this category, I have 7 sweaters. First one is Beatnik, I don't know, by Nora Goggin, and it's published in Knitty Deep Fall of 2010. So it's kind of a oldie but a goldie, and it has this beautiful cable on the front. It comes in sizes available are from in inches, 32 inches bust circumference to 56 inches bust circumference. And it's knit on a 5mm needle. So this looks like a perfect structured knit, where you also don't have to do too many cables because it's only on the front. I know it's kind of a lot of cables, but the sleeves aren't cabled. So I feel like that's not too much. The yarn that's used is an Aran yarn and the gauge is 18 stitches. So sounds like kind of a good way to make an Aran jumper, like one of those Aran fisherman jumpers, which kind of leads me to the second one in this category, which is the honeycomb Aran. This is designed by Gail Bunn, and it is published in Yarn Inspirations, and it's from 2014, and it's this really classic fisherman's sweater or a Aran jumper, or there's several names for that, but I can't really figure out what the real one is. But if you want to make one of those Aran jumpers, fisherman jumpers, this one would be a good option. Just make it in white and then it looks exactly like what you would want. It is knitted bottom up, I saw. The size it comes in is extra small to 5XL. And well, it's available for free, but so are all the other patterns in this video. It's also knit on a 5mm needle, and it's worsted weight. And if you wouldn't like the raglan on this sweater, then I have another option for you that looks very similar, which is the Quinn pullover. And this is a drop shoulder sweater. And it's actually the pattern is made by Caitlin Bartold and published in Originally Lovely. It's knitted in Lion Brand retweed, and yeah, it looks really lovely, just like the previous one. It's really similar look and feel, but this one has a drop shoulder design. So if you prefer that, then that's easier. Well, it's easier to pick this one because if you want a drop shoulder, then pick drop shoulder. It comes in a extra small to the 5XL, and it's knit on a 5.5mm needle. with Aran weight yarn. Then my fourth jumper in the structured knits category is this beautiful, and I think it's brioche, but let me check. It is, yeah, it says brioche tuck. I'm not sure what tuck here means, but it's this beautiful brioche sweater. It's called the Flora sweater by Anna Strandberg, and it's a Yarbo pattern. And I just love those sleeves. Those sleeves are really a statement sleeve. So it's a 2-color brioche sweater, and in the sample, as you can see, they have the background in green, and then you really can see the leaves of the pattern on the sleeves. Looks super duper pretty. It's knitted on the sport weight yarn on a 4mm needle, and the sizes that it comes in is extra small to 5XL. Then the next one, there's always going to be a drops design in these pattern videos, but not too many this time. This might be the only one. So I found the Deep Woods sweater, and it's this really basic sweater, but with a beautiful cable on the sleeve. So if you want to have a basic sweater with some statement sleeves, then here you go. It is knit on an Aran weight yarn. They use a sport and a lace held together on a 17 stitch gauge on 5mm needles, and the size it comes in is a small to 3XL. So not super size inclusive, but I think that is what Drops always has in size range. Then the next one, it is almost getting out of that structure knit into more basic knits, but there is this this knit and it's called the Incredible Custom Fit Raglan. So if that title is true, then it should be incredible. You can find it with the Internet Archive, and if you see the link in the pattern, you'll find the link to the Internet Archive. And it's a pattern from 2001. And I actually see, if you scroll through the pictures, you see that there's like a lot of different options. The person on the first picture made it into a ribbed sweater, but there's also people who knitted it with just stockinette. And then some people made it with a V-neck, some people made it with a funnel neck. So seems to be pretty promising. Last sweater in my structured knits patterns is the Piper sweater. The Piper sweater is a design by Caitlin Barthold, the same as my third design, I think. Yep. One of those Aran sweaters, the Quinn pullover. And the Piper sweater is this, it has this design where the background is just stockinette, and then you have these purl rows, horizontal, in a color, and it looks really nice and really pretty. It's knit on a worsted weight yarn, 18 stitch gauge on a 5.5mm needle, so it might go pretty fast. And the sizes that are available are an extra small to 5XL. Oh, and there's this one picture where maybe it's a designer, maybe it's a model, but she is standing in front of these mountains and this lake, and it's super nice. But I think I just really like all the colors in the picture and the mountains in the background. But looks pretty cozy. Next category is basic sweaters. And for that, I'm wearing my most basic sweater because I don't actually make basic sweaters. But this is my Edgar sweater by Kolibri by Johanna. Everything that I'm wearing, I'll also link down below. I just thought it would be fun to do a little switch every time I go to a new category. So we are in the basic sweater category. And I wanted to start by this knit by Novita Knits. And it's called the Lempy sweater. And it is knit on super bulky weight yarn with 9 stitch gauge on 10mm needles. So that sounds fast. That is actually a really good pattern, and I might actually knit this because I have all these ideas in my head, where I want to make a basic sweater based on the Lerkebacher tying methods, and then use a basic sweater with a really thick needle, so it will be done really quickly. So this might be it actually. The sizes aren't very inclusive. They go from an extra small to a 2XL. And yeah, what else is there to say? It's a basic sweater and it's very chunky. It's a raglan, that's what I can see. And I like that the raglan is pretty thick. This raglan is also pretty thick and has some details of having twisted rib. But here it's just a stockinette raglan. Looks super nice. Next up, oh, I did have another drops design. It is this sweater. It's called Urban Forest, and it is modeled by a man, but any sweater is unisex, so women can knit this too. What I like about this design is, yes, it is pretty basic, but it has this saddle shoulder, so it really is kind of a interesting, different than a drop shoulder or raglan construction. So that's really nice, I think. And if you scroll down, you see a lot of different ideas what to do with this sweater too. I see somebody made the whole body in some moss stitch. Someone duplicate stitched a dog on top of it, a car on top of it, and yeah, looks like a good design to be creative with or to just make as a basic sweater. It is knit on Aran weight yarn, 17 stitch gauge on 5mm needles, and the sizing is, just like I said before, from a small to a 3XL, like Drops always has. Next up, I feel like this designer can never, will always be in one of these lists of free patterns, which is Alexandra Tavel, or Two of Wands. She has this Winter League pullover. It is knit on bulky weight yarn, and it has a 10.5 stitch gauge, and it's knit on 8mm needles, so it's also a very big, quick knit. So that's great. This is another option for my idea too. And it has this one design where there's this X on the front. And what I always have with these knits that have that X on the front, that kind of makes it look like a sweatshirt, is I don't understand why one of them is longer than the other one. So if you do know that, let me know, because I don't know what's going on with that. The size range is an extra small to a 4XL, and it has a split hem, and other than that, it's just a really simple looking raglan. So it seems like a really good sweater to follow. I have another raglan sweater. It's called The Real Easy Raglan by Emily Boljuan, which is published in the Maker store. It is knit on a DK weight yarn on 20 stitch gauge, 4mm needles, and it comes in the sizes extra small to 2XL. And it seems like it's just a regular raglan recipe. So seems pretty straightforward. And that counts for this next one too, which is the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. And Florence Miller also has a YouTube. She is Handmade by Florence. And I know that she made a whole tutorial for how to make this sweater. And I know that she includes how to make a raglan without short rows, so without raising up the back of your neck. And she also includes an option to make short rows because she prefers having them. This one is knitted on an Aran weight yarn on 16 stitch gauge on a 5.5mm needle. And there are sizes A till G, which is 7 sizes in total, and the size range goes from 90 to 150 centimeter bust circumference. And she has some ideas in like a variegated yarn or using stripes. Then next up, I have a really exciting one, and I was super excited finding this one. It is this polo sweater. And this one is also by Caitlin Bartholdt. I have a lot of her patterns in here. And it is this beautiful polo neck, and I can't believe that this pattern is available for free. I feel like polo sweaters are really in right now, and it's amazing that she has one available for free. I have made my mod tee by Petite Knits with long sleeves, just to get this look that this pattern also gives. So I feel like this would be a really nice alternative for that, and it's free. It's knit on a DK weight yarn, with a DK weight yarn on 22 stitch gauge, and the biggest needle size that you use is a 4mm. By the way, every time I call a millimeter or a needle size, I mean the largest one. So for the main part of the body is what I'm assuming, for the main part of the knit. And then you usually have a smaller needle for ribbing. So I always just call the largest one, assuming that it's the most, like the biggest part of the knit in that needle size. It also has a great size range, extra small to 5XL. Super awesome. If I were you, if you're knitting the polo sweater, you should knit the polo part longer because it's kind of short. And when you knit a polo, I made that in the mod tee too, is that it feels like it's already really long, but then when you wear it, it like folds over and it gets really short. And I think this one looks a little short for being a polo sweater. Then next up, another nice basic knit is the Hokkaido sweater by Sitzel Grau, who is the cable knitwear. And it's knit with a Aran weight yarn on 17 stitch gauge on 5mm needle. The finished sweater is 100 to 150 centimeter bust circumference. So yeah, really simple. They have a striped version and a basic version. And then lastly, one that I was also very excited about finding for free is this hoodie, and it's called Hoodie by Go Handmade, and it is actually a pattern from Hobby. It is knit with an Aran weight yarn using a worsted weight and a fingering weight together. So I see some samples with some marling, just like I have right here, 2 strands held together. And it's knit on 5mm needle. And it goes from 100 centimeter bust circumference to 148. It's not very size inclusive. So you make the hood and then you make the cord with an I-cord. So I always think that looks really cute. But you can always just use some cord from a craft store or something. Next category, color work. I'm wearing my Alpenglow, which was the Rhinebeck sweater by Andrea Mowry for 2022. So I have another 8 patterns in this category, and some are all over color work, but most are like colorful yokes. The first one though is somewhere in between basic sweater and colorwork sweater. It is the Missoni Accomplished by Espastrico, and it's this circular yoke, but you only start doing some color work later on in the sweater. So I think you do your first one in the yoke, but you continue them in the body. And it's kind of similar to what I did here. So this is color work because you have to alternate colors right here and right here. And it has a really cool effect, some kind of chevron effect. It is knit on a sport weight yarn, 22 stitch gauge on a 4.5mm needle. And the finished bust is 40 inches until 65.5 inches. And Espastrico has very nice free patterns available. Then the next one is a very complicated one, so we're jumping right in. It is the Peace Jubileum Genser, and Genser is sweater in Norwegian, I think, by Randi Sunde, and it is published in House of Yarn or Dale Garn or something. But it is this all over, this beautiful all over colorwork sweater, and it looks like so much work. It is knit on a 2.5mm needle with fingering weight yarn on 32 stitch gauge. And it has almost no size inclusivity. It goes from a small to a 2XL. I do see that they have a zipper in, and I think that's really cool. I just think if you would knit up such a monster, you have to be just the knitting goddess. This is awesome if you can knit this. There are 233 projects. So there are people who are just absolute knitting goddesses, because that is one big pile of work. Awesome. Another all over colorwork sweater, and when I found this one, I was like, ooh, casting it on tomorrow. But I didn't, because it also seems like a lot of work. It is the Diana Black Sheep Sweater, the iconic Diana sweater. And it even says on the like little picture, it says, "Di loves it, you will too." It is this all over colorwork sweater with all these white sheep on it and then one black sheep. It's also on a fingering weight yarn on 3mm needles with an 18 stitch gauge, which, 18 stitches is 5 centimeters. I was like, that doesn't sound like a fingering weight gauge, but that's 5 centimeters. And there are also 101 projects. So it's amazing. All these people who knitted this sweater, and it's super cool. I really like it. A little bit less of a beast than the previous one, but still, I do think the sizes aren't super good. So it's sizes 6 until 14. I'm guessing UK sizes. I don't know. Something to look into, but I was really excited to find this one. And now that we're in the sheep category, I found this sweater, but we need a little side note to it. So it's this sweater. It is by Drops. Again, sorry. And it's called Sheep Happens. And it is this colorful yoke with sheep. And one sheep is bigger or longer than the other ones. And I think that's how you create the different sizes or something. Super smart. But before I tell more about it, I saw that there were some comments on this sweater saying that they stole the design. And this is what they took inspiration from. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying what I saw. So this is the bobblehead. This is not a free pattern, but this is a pattern by Donna Smith. So I want to tell about this pattern too, as I'm talking about the other one, because I feel like otherwise I should be spreading that information that this is the original pattern. She had the original idea. Going back to the Sheep Happens sweater, it is a DK weight yarn that you're using on 21 stitch gauge, and you're using a 4mm needle. And again, the sizes go from a small to a 3XL, just like Drops always does. Pretty cool though. Imagine doing a sheep sweater with boucle as the sheep. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. Now we go into the colorful colorwork yokes. Yeah, not necessarily colorful, but colorwork yoke sweaters. First one is called Slow Deer. I don't know, it's with an Icelandic D. It is by Fedis Jonsdottir for Istex. So Istex is an Icelandic yarn brand, and it's published in Jarbo, and Jarbo is also Icelandic, I believe. And it is this beautiful color work yoke sweater on an Aran weight yarn, and it is on Let Lopi. The gauge is 18 stitches on 4.5mm needles, and the sizes go from an extra small to 4XL. Next Colorwork sweater is Noordstrand. Noordstrand is a sweater with a funnel neck, also with a Colorwork yoke, by Hanna Riemen, and it is for Vilcolana. I really like this one. I really like how deep it is, and it almost like covers your armpits. Although if you then lift up your arm, then you would lift up your whole sweater. And so, yeah, I don't know. It is knit on an Aran weight yarn, 70 stitch gauge on 4.5mm needles, and the sizes go from a small to a 3XL. I do really like the way that this one looks, and I always appreciate it when it's like an Aran weight and not a fingering weight color work. This one was, I think, 3.5mm, so that was also a little bit of a challenge, but it's nice and tight, so there's not that much knitting to do. The next one is by one of my favorite designers, which is the Knit Pearl Girl. This is the Haze sweater, and it's also this beautiful Colorwork yokes sweater. I actually, yeah, I have this one in my library, but it's free, so maybe that's not that big of a deal. It is also knit in Eastex Let Lopi, so that's an Aran weight yarn. It has a 20 stitch gauge on 4.5mm needle, and the sizes go really well. It is the Knit Pearl Girl, and she's really good in her size inclusivity. So the sizes go from A to K, so there's a lot of different sizes available, and it's a really beautiful sweater, and it's available for free. Then I have one to get into the festive season. It's a Colorwork yoke sweater that's called Santa Baby. It is by Hanna Riemen, which was the same one as a few sweaters ago. And it's also knit for Vilcolana, and it has Christmas trees. So you just make some Christmas trees over here, and other than that, it's just stockinette. So it seems pretty achievable as like a really nice Christmas sweater. It's knit with a DK weight yarn, 20 stitch gauge, 4mm needles, and the sizes go from a small to 2XL. Next up, cardigans. I just casted this off. Look. No buttons. So this is my Eva cardigan. And if you see my latest podcast video, you know I've been working on this and I already finished it. So I did everything in the last week and a half. Cardigans. Okay, I have 7 cardigans for you. The first one is called Lempi. It is also made for Yarbo, just like one of the sweaters before. And it is this beautiful ballerina wrap cardigan. And it is actually designed by Kajsa Fuorella Fredriksen on a sport weight yarn, 28 stitch gauge on a 2.5mm needle. That hurts a little bit. It's so incredibly beautiful, and it's this lace pattern, beautiful wrap, super size inclusive, XL to 4XL, extra small to 4XL. Oh, and it just looks absolutely wonderful. Just the fact that it's 2.5mm needle just makes me ooh. I just think, oh, can I just use a larger needle and just knit a smaller size? Yeah. Okay, next up is Kutsu by Marie Emily Designs. And it's this cardigan with a structured yoke. And they're using a DK weight yarn on 19 stitch gauge. And they use a 5.5mm needle. The final bust circumference is 90 to 160 centimeters. So that's size inclusive. And it's really pretty and really It kind of reminds me of the Whitmore cardigan that's really popular right now. Also because it has this really delicate button band. In comparison to this, that's not delicate, that's just sturdy. But it's a good dupe for the Whitmore cardigan, I would say. Then next up, there's another structured yoke cardigan. It's called Erwin with E-I, by Susanna IG. And it is this cardigan that is knit with a worsted weight yarn on 21 stitch gauge on 4.5mm needles. And it goes from, it has a huge size range. So it goes from an 87 centimeter to 165 centimeter bust circumference. Then next up, for all the Taylor Swift fans or just fans of a cardigan like this, but this is the Folklore cardigan, which is the famous cardigan that Taylor Swift wears on her Folklore album. Does she wear it on her album cover or in a video or something? I don't even know. I do listen to Taylor Swift songs, but I am not that much of a diehard fan. Sorry. It is knit on an Aran weight yarn, and it is this beautiful all over cabled and structured pattern cardigan with this the famous black line on the button band and at the bottom edge. Aran weight yarn, a 16 stitch gauge on 5.5mm needles, and it only comes in 3 sizes. And the sizes go from a bust circumference of 114, 134 or 152 centimeters completed garment. Then next up, I have another men's pattern, but I feel like anybody can wear it again. This is Gryton, a men's jacket or a woman's jacket, who knows. It is by the West Strand sisters, and it's also made for Yarbo. And it's this really utilitarian cardigan with a zipper, and it has ribbing, and it has raglan. It looks super nice. It is knit on a 3.5mm needle. Maybe that's why it looks so polished. At least I think it looks really polished. It's knit on a worsted weight yarn and on a worsted weight on, oh wait a second, I saw it wrong. They also use a hook size, and there it says 3.5mm. But the needle size is actually 4mm, and the gauge is 21 stitches. But it is in ribbing, so take that into account for your stitch gauge. The sizes available are an extra small to 4XL. Then there's a cardigan that I actually have started, and I've just made the cuffs and a little bit of the color work. But there's the Maya cardigan, which is also made for Yarbo by Helene Magnussen. And it's this beautiful colorwork yoke and colorwork all over, basically. Cardigan, and it has been on my knit list for so long, and I was gonna start it after finishing this one, but then I kind of started already. But I wanted to finish this one first. So this one will be next. It is on a 4.5mm needle with Aran weight yarn, which is Let Lopi by Istex. And it is, the sizes are extra small to 4XL. So it's pretty size inclusive. And then my final cardigan is Raaf by Hanne Riemen, who I have talked about before. It's also made for Vilcolana. And it is this colorful, I keep saying colorful yoke, colorwork yoke cardigan, which uses, I think it's 2 strands of mohair held together, which creates a sport weight. And I really like on the pictures how you can see it's really, really fuzzy. 23 stitch gauge on 3.5mm needles. And they only come in 4 sizes, the small to an XL. Back to the outfit that I started with. This is my Amy slipover with the ties on the side. by Sandnes Garn. I have 2 more patterns left, which is a sweater vest and a tee. First up, the vest. This is the Day of the Week sweater vest by Jenny Kiefer. And it is this beautiful checkered vest, and it totally gives me Wednesday vibes. So if you also watched Wednesday on Netflix, like almost a year ago now, I hope there's going to be a new season soon. But this vest totally gives me Wednesday vibes, and I really like it. It's knit with a worsted weight yarn, and 4 stitches is 2.5 centimeters, which is a weird way of saying gauge, but okay. But yeah, well, why it's weird is because the larger the area is that you measure, the more accurate you can say. So if I would say, okay, 4 stitches, 2.5 centimeters, that would be 16 stitches and 10 centimeters. It could be 17 stitches, and then if you divide that by 4, then you also get like 4 and a little bit, and then you round it down to 4 stitches. So that's why it's better to be as accurate as you can be. Little side rant. Follow for more. Okay, needle size 5mm needle, and it is available in a small, medium, large, XL, and a double XL. So not super size inclusive, but I wanted to include it because I thought of Wednesday and I liked watching Wednesday. Then my final pattern is this top. It is the Picnic Folks top by One Cheng Pua, and it is this tee on worsted weight yarn with cute little eyelet down the shoulder on a 5mm needle, worsted weight yarn, 19 stitch gauge, and the garment bust circumference is 79 until 160 centimeters. I feel like you could make this one with negative ease or positive ease, whatever you want to. I really like how it is a basic tee with some really pretty designs on the shoulder. Those were my free patterns that I could find for the cozy season for making some beautiful sweaters. I have been inspired myself by sharing these. If you do like videos like these, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can see whenever a video of mine goes live. I never really ask for these things, but I feel like I should start including them. So let me know what pattern you're itching to cast on, and if you have any other free patterns that you like to knit or that you are already knitting. So I hope to see you in my next video. All right.